Hi, welcome to Tamika's Story Time. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to hit that subscription button and give me thumbs up. This is my tea. I like to start off with presenting my tea with my super greens from Live Good. I encourage you to have your tea, coffee, whatever it is you like to drink, but I encourage you to take the super greens or the super reds or what have you to whole body cleanse. Okay, somebody asked me, is it about tea or story time? And it's about a little bit of both. Bear with me. The tea helps me be able to tell you the story. This particular story I'm going to share with you was years back in my life when I was in my early 20s, and I ended up relocating to Florida. I relocated to Florida for my then fiance at the time that I was seeing and engaged to, and I'm going to refrain from saying this person's name, but I will say that we're going to call him Calvin. So Calvin and I, we were engaged. I was coming from Philadelphia to move to Florida to be with him, but my request was to him that he would have to find a place for us to stay, because at that time he was residing with a family member. So that was understood, and so it took time for him to do that, about 6 months to 6 to 8 months. And doing so, he let me know he found a place. So I was excited, and I couldn't wait to get there, of course. So when I moved there, it was in a very nice complex. This was Broward County, and it was 45 minutes away from Miami. And this particular place that we stayed at, it had a lot of beautiful, nice condos. And he had already signed the lease. He had already picked the place. He showed me on the phone, through pictures. So I had some idea of what I was walking into. So when I got there, I was happy to be there. I was happy to see him. And of course, got settled into my first home in Florida. My first place in Florida. Excuse me. So it was a condo, and it had, when you first entered, you had to go up the steps, and when you go up the steps, you had the big living room and the kitchen set off to the across from the living room, and across straight down next to the kitchen. Once you walk up the steps, it was you go up the first several steps, you turn, go up the other steps, and there's the living room, there's the kitchen, there's the bathroom on the side, right where the steps is. As you're coming in, there's the bathroom, and then straight ahead is the master bedroom, which has the master bathroom and a huge walk-in closet. So I liked the closet space because it gave him one side and gave myself the other side. So I liked that, and I liked the fact that it had the shower and the bathtub. So I liked the room, the master bedroom setting, and the whole overall. So I liked the apartment, and I was getting comfortable in this apartment. While he went to work, he did his thing during the daytime, so that left me with a lot of time by myself in this place. So throughout the day, I would do my things what I do, do a little cleaning, cooking, go to the store, come back. And this particular day, I wanted to just soak in the tub. So and when I do that, I like to light candles, and I had the candles burning. Had my scented candles, I had the bubble bath, and I was just relaxing in the tub. And as I'm relaxing in the tub, I, put my head back to sit in the tub. Ladies, when you do that, you're relaxing and you're in a very deep, or, it's a very comforting, if you will, moment for you. So, and that's where I was. And as I'm laying there, and my eyes closed, and I have the music playing, and the candles lit, and I'm laying there, and I'm feeling something, fingers in my head, like giving me a massage as I'm laying there. And the massage was so therapeutic that it just helped with the warm water and the total relaxation that I was in. It just intensified it. So as I'm laying there and I'm enjoying this head massage all throughout my head, and I'm like, oh wow. And I'm thinking, wow, Calvin came home, and often, which he would do, come home, and I would be in the tub, and sometimes he would go in the room, get himself undressed, go in the kitchen, make himself something to eat or something while I'm relaxing. And I said, oh, this time, he's giving me this wonderful massage. So I'm like, oh, wow, Calvin, this really feels good. And I said, thank you so much. I needed that. And as I'm saying and I'm talking, the massage is getting more intense. And it's like he pulling, like so much so that it was as if he knew exactly the spots to hit and to go through my roots and pull up. And it's like, oh wow, it went through my roots and pulled slightly, just enough to get deeper inside my head to give them full head massage. So I'm really enjoying this, and I'm really relaxed. And this went on for a bit, which felt like it felt like 20 minutes, but it wasn't as long as 20 minutes, but it felt that way because that's how relaxed and good it felt to me. So I'm enjoying this, and I'm like, oh wow. When I hear a door open and shut, the bedroom door opens and shut. So I jump, and it's him at the doorway. And I jump at this time. I jump again. I jump when I heard the door. And I'm thinking, okay, so when I go to turn, I see him walking up to the bathroom door entrance. And I jump again. And he's like, well, what's wrong with you? So I said, you just coming in? And he said, yeah. Like that. Like as if the question, why am I asking, did he just come in? So I jump up out the tub, and I grab my towel, and I wrap myself up. And I put a towel over my head. And I'm looking around the bathroom. By this time, he walks away from the bathroom entrance. I'm looking around the tub, and I follow him. I said, someone's in here. And he said, what? And I said, yes, someone's in here. So he rushes to the closet, goes up on his side of the walk-in closet, goes and get his gun. And he said, where you see somebody at, where they at? So I'm like, they in here. So he's looking all in the closet, looking under the bed. I'm following behind him, mind you. And I'm going everywhere he goes. I'm right behind him, and he's looking, and we're looking. And I said, and he's checked the sliding balcony door, because in the living room was a balcony off beside the master bedroom entrance. There's a balcony where you can go out and sit, and he checked and made sure that was locked. It was locked. It was nobody on the balcony. It was a very small balcony, but we were 2 flights up, so it could easily be somebody that climbed up. So he checked, made sure it was locked, went around to the other bathroom, checked in there. Nobody was in there. He's checking in the kitchen. He checked everywhere. He says nobody's in here. He checked back, went back down the steps, around the corner, down to the front door. Nobody was there. Nobody was there. So he said, why you say it was somebody in here? I said, because I'm telling you, I thought you was in here giving me a head massage. I promise you, I thought somebody was massaging my head. So he said, man, are you? Now at this time, I want to be quite frank. And this is for, let me, because this, you know what I mean? At this time, this was before before medical marijuana. I was smoking marijuana, if you will. And he said, have you been, now he didn't smoke, he barely drank, but I did. I would have a cocktail, and I would have my cigarette, if you will, my marijuana, whatever. So he said, have you been smoking? I said, I had not smoked anything yet. But after that, I assure you that I did. Okay? And I don't encourage drugs. Let me put a disclaimer out. I do not encourage drugs, but if you have to take what you have to take, medical marijuana, I'm all for it, whatever. I never did any other drug outside of that. Just to be clear. So he said, have you? And I said, no, I didn't smoke anything yet. So he was thinking, okay, sure. So, okay, he left it alone. Okay. And I pretty much shook it off. But I didn't, because I know what I felt, and I know what I experienced. So I didn't really shake it off, but I didn't bring it back up. I left it alone. Up until a week later, again, he was gone. I was in the kitchen at this time, and I was preparing spaghetti, if you will. I was cooking. I was boiling my noodles, and I'm chopping up my onions, and I got the music playing, and I had the little scented candle burning on the countertop. And as I'm chopping the onions up, the candle blew out. So I'm like, why did my candle just blow out? It was no wind. I didn't have the window open. There was nothing circulating that could just blow my candle out. So I continue on, and I relight the candle. You know, it is what it is. It might have, a strong one may have come. I'm trying to rationalize this situation. You know, it might have happened. So I relit the candle and continued on. The music's playing. I'm moving around the kitchen, and I'm going in and out the refrigerator. I turn back around, the candle's out again. So at this time, it got my attention. So I'm not lighting that candle anymore. I continued on making my food, boiling my noodles, and as I'm straining the noodles from the straining the water, the noodles, and putting the pot in the strainer, the noodles in the strainer with the hot water. I had the stove still lit for my sauce, which was cooking on the other end, the other eye of the stove. And the one that I turned off was from the noodles, me cooking the noodles. So I'm pouring the noodles into the strainer, if you will, in the zinc. When I come back, both of the eyes are turned off. The sauce is turned off. The one that I had turned off was off. So I'm saying, now I know that this sauce I had this on. Why is it turned off? So again, I turn it back on and I proceed on with my cooking. Now I hear running water. And I'm thinking, now where is the water? I didn't leave the water running in the zinc, and the sauce is boiling, bubbling up. I had put my onions in there, I put my green peppers in there, put everything in my sauce, and it's simmering. And I made sure that I had it on, so it's simmering. I go, because I'm hearing running water. Where's this water running at? So I go into the bathroom, which is the guest bathroom, and I'm looking, there's no running water. But I'm still hearing this intense running water. So I stand in the living room and I'm listening, like where, and it's coming from the master bedroom. So I go into the master bedroom and go inside the bathroom, and the tub is filling up with water. The plug is in there for the water to formulate, and it's running. So I'm thinking, I did not run no water. This water wasn't running. So now I'm freaking. I turn the water off. I go back in. I turn this. At this point, I am done. I'm done cooking. I'm done everything. So I call Calvin. I say, look, something is going on in here, and I don't like it. Now, you got to come home, and we got to figure this out. So he said, I'm on my way. It was almost time for him to leave, and he usually gets around that hour that I called anyway. So when he comes in, he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, this is insane, but a situation happening, I don't know. So he's like, well, what happened? So I explained to him exactly what I just explained. And he's like, okay, well, maybe he's trying to make sense of it. Maybe you thought you turned it on. Maybe maybe it was a wind or something that blew it out. So I said, no. When I tell you that I had no window open, there was nothing. There was not a single breeze to blow out that candle. And it blew it out twice. It cut off my stove. The food, I know that I didn't shut it off. That would give you, how can you explain running water? I did not run no water in the tub. So I'm explaining all this to him, and I'm like, you have to go and find out what's going on. You said you got this apartment for a very cheap price, and this apartment's been vacant for a while. Something happened in here. You got to go find out. So he said, all right, well, we're going to go find out. And so we went together down to the leasing office. Just before they were getting ready to close, the lady was picking up her stuff, and he walked in, and her name was Paulette. And he said, Miss Paulette, can I speak to you for a minute? She said, sure, Calvin, what's the problem? And he said, well, my fiance is experiencing strange things. So I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, miss, I am not crazy. I have never been. I said, and I had not been drinking or doing anything, but some things has been happening in there that just don't make sense. So she said, well, what's going on? And she put her things down, and she sat back down behind the chair, and she said, what's been going on? And as she's saying that, she's like kinda like moving around. Now she was ready to go, but now she's moving around, sitting down behind the chair, and she's moving things around as she's listening to me tell what happened. So I told her about my incident in the bathtub, and I told her about the incident in the kitchen, and then again in the reoccurrence of the bathtub. So it was then this woman, she sat back in her chair just like this, and she said, did Robert, to ask Calvin, did Robert tell you about what occurred in your apartment? So he said no, he never told me anything that occurred in that apartment. So it was then she informed us that the apartment that we were living in, it was a man who, the apartment that we were living in, there had been a murder-suicide that occurred in that apartment. The man who drowned his wife in the bathtub before killing himself, initially shooting himself in the head in the bedroom, due because he found out that this woman who had moved in just 2 months prior to her demise, him killing her, was pregnant. She came from Cuba, and he was sent for her to come from Cuba. But when he sent for her to come, she was already 2 months pregnant by somebody else. And this man found out that she was pregnant, and while she was taking a bath, he drowned her. He came home and drowned her and killed himself. And that they were in that apartment for 4 to 6 weeks before anybody even discovered or knew they were missing, because they were the only ones from Cuba. He was from Cuba. He didn't have any family here, and she came here to be with him. So we're freaking out. I'm freaking out. Like, are you serious? And you just found out? I said, we can't stay in that apartment. So it was like, she was like, this is something that you're going to have to talk to Robert about. You signed a year lease. If you can wait it out for a year, and then we can work on finding you guys another place. This is something that can be, worked out, but we would have to work this out slowly. So I said, yeah, but because we can't stay, I don't feel comfortable being in there. He said, I gotta work. She can't be in there by herself if she's going to be living in fear. And I said, exactly. So with that understanding, this woman was adamant that she would talk to her boss, if you will, about reassigning us another place. And they did. They end up moving us because someone moved out, only due to the fact that someone moved out 3 months from that time that we made the complaint. And he just transitioned us over to that place. And it happened to be the same exact size that we were in. So I say that was an experience. That was the first really paranormal experience that I had experienced. But that was something that I'll never forget, because it was so real, and the fact that to actually have something touch you that you cannot see, and I've heard of it, but I've never experienced it until that time. And it was a really freaky experience. And I was the whole 3 months that I was there, I actually spent most of the time on the outside while he was at work. I wouldn't stay in there by myself. That's how petrified I was. And it was like I was a shadow behind him, because where he moved, I moved. Just like that. Yeah. When he moved around in that condo, I was right behind him until we got into the new place, which say it was a very different experience, a very calming, loving, warm experience for the remainder of that year. And I would like to say that thank God that because I do and I always have been spiritual, you can be, yes, I was smoking pot, and that was a part of what I enjoyed doing. I was not under the influence at the time where those incidents occurred. And just to be clear on that, and because I did and always have had and will remain with a spiritual connection to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who protects me even in harm's way, that's all that was done, is that it was a touch of my scalp, massaging it, and thank God it was nothing else. I wasn't pushed, I wasn't bit, I wasn't kicked or anything like that. Those things that happened in the kitchen could have been worse. And I give that acknowledgement and understanding to my spiritual connection, and having that spiritual connection around me, that it would not allow me to be harmed by the spirit of pain and hurt and desperation. I don't know what it was, but it didn't want me to be lighting no candles in the kitchen, and it didn't want me cooking in there. It had a problem, and I don't know if it was the woman. I don't know if it was the woman or not, but I know that it was somebody did not want me burning no candle in that kitchen, and they didn't want me cooking in there. And so with that, we did a lot of ordering out for a good 3 months. So I say, for this particular situation, you just have to stay rooted in your spirit, because it don't matter what corner of the world you go to, God goes with you. You take God everywhere you go. I don't care what under what influence you may be under. You take God with you, because He is the only one that's going to keep you safe and protect you out of any and all elements that you might be in. When you can't protect yourself, He's there to make sure that you are protected. So I say, with this, I hope that this was a blessing. I have many more stories to share with you, and testimonies, if you will, and I intend on doing so. I say that you be a blessing to someone, and I will continue to be a blessing to you. Stay here with your girl. You won't be disappointed. Speak with you later. God bless.